Oh, I still have that key? I thought you might have returned it, since it technically was owned by these guys. I guess it's safer for us to keep it, rather than accidentally have it
There's
misused.
a mountain of data to sift through, much of it tantalizing. But it will take time to fully decrypt everything that piques my interest. So, to answer our immediate question, while I've not listened to it yet, I have a selection ready for playback. Would you like to hear it now?
Yes, please.
All right. Several audio files will now play in sequence.
My name is...
Mother?
Officially I am, was, a Virgin with the Lance Guard. After our mission was complete, I elected to remain. It was the perfect... or so I said when requesting special dispensation. I had hoped to aid Commander Zoralja in the right of succession, but he did not so much as look my way. To go back and face that reality was too much for me. So, when the dome appeared, I found myself trapped with... how am I to speak of... I admired him. I watched him, captivated by his intensity. His eyes too sought the distance, but not as mine did. He yearned not for another. That gaze would never follow. The experiment will soon proceed to its next phase. I will have... Today. It should have been today. I hold a future in my arms. If you could see him, so full of hope I was. A foolish hope.
Its scales are blue.
Yeah, I mean, I could have chosen to skip it and continue the cutscene, but I'm like, whatever. I don't mind redoing it again. But yeah, so obviously she was a super stalker. So the question is then what happened to her, right? So did Zoralja not pay attention to the child? So was she essentially using the child? Was he essentially using the child and be like, oh, now that we have this child, we're together, right? You know, it's like, was her heart's desire to be with him, or was it this enough, right? I don't think he killed her. I doubt he would do that. I mean, he would, but I don't think he would have done. I don't think he would have wasted a resource like that. I think what's most likely happened is that he rejected the child, or didn't give a shit about the child enough, or didn't care too much, or maybe even thought to use the child as an experiment, because they were like. Because it could very well be possible. They're like, oh, I know what we're going to do. We'll transplant my son's soul into the Toral Vidral, right? That makes total sense. Because now my son will clearly, succeed, right? my son will clearly have a powerful enough soul to do this. And then maybe the mother was like, holy shit, I can't believe you're going to sacrifice our son for this shit. I'll do it instead. And then, you know, she fails. Would be my guess. That's, okay, so this will be actually, it's nice that, actually, okay, so I'm really curious. So I've done Alliance Roulettes, and I've gotten Puppet's Bunker, or I've gotten the Shadowbringers ones multiple times, and every time I've gotten it, it's essentially leveled me up. Now, I think that's because those dungeons take much more time. They take about, like, 40 minutes, which is kind of how long Alliance raids usually take. So, but these dungeons, or these Alliance raids, take a lot less time. So my question is, will I get my full experience? You know, will I still get my full amount of experience doing them, or will I or is the amount of experience I get based on the expected amount of time, right? So because, like, rather than 40 minutes from Puppet's Bunker or Copied Factory, you know, rather than that, so the question, of course, is that did I only get a million, or did I only get a full level because I got those dungeons? And if I got a Stormblood or Shadowbringers one, Alliance raid, that I would get that. Because they prorate the amount of time. They're like, oh, okay, it takes about this much time to complete them, therefore this is the amount of experience you're going to get. And because these take a lot less time, are they just going to be like, okay, well, since these take half the amount of time, you get half the amount of experience, right? Or if it is it just a guaranteed, no, you still get it. I'm expecting not to get a full level. That's my expectation. I do not expect to get it. I expect that they do prorate it. I expect that they do understand that these Crystal Tower series take so much less time than the others that they probably won't give you the full amount. But conversely, they could still. Conversely, they still could give you the full amount. You know? Because just to incentivize people. Because people have to do the Crystal Tower series as part of the people realize. Oh shit! We have. Oh no! There they go. Yeah, people could be doing this Crystal Tower series. There we go. So anyway, so we'll see. So and that's why basically I have like no experience, like barely any in my level, is because I've only been running one domain or one thing with them for the past little bit. I've been basically only doing basically only doing the Alliance Roulettes. I've been just too busy doing other shit. Oops. Anyway. Oh, it's still an off. I thought we killed him in time. Anyway. So yeah, so we'll see. So if they do prorate it based on the amount of time spent, then I will expect not to level up. I expect not to get the 16 million I need to level. That is my guess. I'm guessing I'll only see about half of the experience. That is what I'm expecting. Now, it'd be cool if we still got the full amount. It'd be cool if I still leveled, and they're just like, nah, fuck it. Doesn't matter which one you get, you'll still get the full amount of experience. I do know that would be open for exploitation, though, because essentially what people would do is they would. I mean, it's harder to exploit now, simply because before you could exploit it by changing your item level. You could just unequip a bunch of gear so your average item level was low, and the only dungeons or the only alliance raids you'd be considered for are ones that you could apply for, or the ones that were accessible for whatever item level you were when you equipped, or when you queued up. So essentially, if you lowered your item level ahead of time, then if you lowered your item level ahead of time, you can guarantee a Crystal Tower thing. Because it's like, oh yeah, your item level is only 130 because you just unequipped like the entire right side of your gear. Let's see. Now we our tank's an idiot. Tank doesn't know. Yeah, tanks don't know what to do. Tanks need to pull the ad to the fucking pad. But he's not. He's just sitting there doing damage like a moron. Which is like, sure, we can just ignore the ads. I don't think it matters if we even give a shit about the ads. But it's dumb, right? But it's whatever, right? It doesn't really matter. Again, this is going to be one of the quickest ones to beat. Anyway. So, yeah. So my guess is, yeah. So as you can see, like, we barely get... Actually, no, that wasn't a proper boss. But, like, even in, like, Puppet's Bunker, I was getting, like, 500,000 experience for the early bosses, 1.5 million for the last boss, and then the roulette bonus, which would do it. So it could be that the roulette bonus is the same, and the only difference... Oh, cool. The only difference is, it could be that the only difference is just your roulette bonus is always the same, but the amount of experience you get from the dungeon itself will depend on the level of the dungeon. So we got a moron here who doesn't know how to fucking interrupt. I guess I already knew our tank was a moron because they weren't actually doing their one fucking job of pulling the... Yeah, see, like this chain, they need to heal the pot. Actually, the pot didn't get some heal health. Okay, so they need to fucking enter. Holy shit, tank! Dude, what the fuck's wrong with you, tank? Jesus Christ, this tank is dog shit. So the tank doesn't know how to interrupt. Now, to be fair, this is the level 50 dungeon. The level 50 alliance raid. So it's like, it's the first alliance raid you have to do. And as a tank, I think for most dungeons you don't even need to do interrupts ever. I don't know how many bosses there are in the leveling dungeons, in the MSQ dungeons. I don't know how many dungeons there are that actually require an interrupt. Now, if you do fates and stuff, you should know how to do it. Realistically, you should know how to do it. The fact that they don't show as a sprout, it's like, okay, you're not a sprout, but you don't know how to interrupt. Like, it's like something you have to do as a tank. Like, that's your fucking job. You have two jobs: hold aggro and interrupt. Like, it's the only thing you need to do. And he's like not even doing that. Like, he wasn't pulling the ads to the pad. He's not interrupting when there's the interruptible attack. It's like, come on, dude. Like, please do your job. Okay, so actually we already did a boss though, so I don't even see my. I think I was 2.6 million before anyway, so I'm not sure what the threshold for that is, or how much I'm getting, or if he got a lot. Because, like, to be fair, that 500,000 was what I remember when I was doing Puppets or Copy Factory or Puppets Bunker. So it's like, is he behind it now? Yeah, nice and safe. Not gonna kill it. Should be able to push it. There we go, dead. Okay, so my experience is now 2.89. So yeah, I'm not even getting like 100,000 experience. I'm still 2.6. So I'm getting barely anything from this. So that could be it. That could be the main difference is that the Alliance Roulette still gives you the same bonus, regardless of which one you go into. And the only difference is just the amount of experience you get for killing the bosses. And you get more for the higher level ones, obviously, because they're higher level. That could be it. But we'll see. So I'll double check the actual amount, because I'm pretty sure I got something like 16,000, or not 16,000, 16 million. Like somewhere around between 12 and 16 million from Copy Factory. I think it was 16 million. So we'll see if we get the same amount. Okay, so I got 1.6 million from the Alliance Roulette. Or enough. See, I only got 8 million. So I do, they do definitely scale it based on which one you're in. Okay, yeah. Because I'm 100% sure I got at least over 10 million. I was thinking 12, 16. I'm thinking 16, but I could have been less. But yeah, so like obviously I'm not getting as much stuff. Okay, so I do frontline roulette then to bump me. I'm not sure. I do need to do frontline roulette, but like frontline always kind of sucks. And I might just want to focus on this real quick just to get it finished. I'm not sure how long this is going to be too. Okay, I'm back. Okay, let's do this once more.
There was a mountain of data to sift through, but while I've not listened to it yet,
Yes.
all right.
Mother? Officially I am. Was? After our mission was complete. Or so I said when requesting special dispensation.
Yeah, my thought is she sacrificed herself for the project. It could be that she just died. Like, could be like illness or something. And maybe Zeralja was actually like not an asshole. Like maybe when she came to him with his son, he was like, "Oh, I'm actually gonna treat him well," you know. And then, but then because the mother died, he became jaded again and was like, "No, fuck this. I don't want to. Hey, you know, I feel pain now because she died. I don't want to feel this anymore, so I'm just gonna shut everyone off." Could be like that. My guess, like I kind of want him to be an asshole through and through. So my guess is that when he found his son, he was like, he's a perfect experimental subject, right? He's the perfect soul to be injected into the Tural Vidral and control it. You know, make the project work. And that could also be what. And then so the mother, either the mother was like, okay, well I'm going to sacrifice myself instead, or it could be that she sacrificed herself for the project. So she was fine with him using her son's soul to take over the Tural Vidral, but she wanted to make sure the project was successful, so she sacrificed herself in that process. So it's hard to say. Did she do it to protect him? Well, I mean, it was protect him regardless, right? To protect him either directly, using her soul instead of his, to stop his soul from being used, or to protect him in the sense of making, like, testing the project even further, just to make sure it would be 100% success when they used his son, or their son. So we'll see.
I had hoped to aid Commander Zoralja. To go back and face that reality was too much. When the dome appeared, I found myself trapped within and reunited with my commander. How am I to speak of Commander Zoralja? I watched him.
Hello there, how's it going?
Captivated by his
You ready for
intensity.
Chaska coming out tomorrow?
I would not dare. His eyes too saw. That gaze would never fall apart.
It's Genshin.
Experiment will soon proceed
She's
to its next phase, and
the new
we
character
must,
coming out
as
tomorrow
you
with
promised.
Genshin. Her and Auron are both having their. Okay. It's actually, I mean, I would say it's gotten pretty good. I'd say that it was always really good. I think Natlan was really interesting. They did a lot of, um, definitely a lot more like lore in Natlan because it's the entire Natlan theme is all about. I mean, they release them at two weeks at a time. Although I guess you have alts, and I guess if with alts it becomes a humongous pain in the ass to keep up. That's why I don't even do alts because I'm like, nah. I'll play Genshin, I'll play Honkai, and I'll play Zenless Zone Zero. Although Zenless Zone Zero, I'm really half-assing. I'm like just popping into level. I'm so far behind in like all the quests and story and shit. Like, well, actually, I'm caught up to the story in Zenless Zone Zero, but I haven't done the new episode that just came out. Yeah, see, like that's insane. And so yeah, like I get it. I could imagine trying to keep. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. But yeah, like 10 accounts is crazy. Like I thought about that, trying to create a free-to-play account just to see for shits and giggles. Realistically, I could probably do it for Honkai Star Rail just because how easy it is to automate some of its shit. Ooh, 5 Genshin, Jesus. Yeah, and the Genshin ones are the hardest ones too, because like there's just the sheer amount of exploration you need to do. That's why like Honkai Star Rail is doable because exploring is super quick. Battles can be super quick. It's super quick to like automate the like grinding process, and that's all you have to do. Then you have to keep up with events, and that's it. Whereas like Genshin, realistically, you have to explore the entire area because you need those primo gems so you can pull on stuff. Either that or you spend money. So either you just ignore exploration and just spend money, which kind of feels like shit, especially if you have like 10 accounts or 5 accounts, or you explore. But like exploring is really fun the first time you do it because you're like, oh, it's a sense of wonder and amazement, and yeah, maybe even the second time would be fine because it still is a fun game to explore in. Let's see. Yeah, as Endless Zone Zero, I'm just not as interested in it as any of the other games. I don't think the story is as good. Like, I think the only thing really Endless Zone Zero does better is their character models. Their character models are really, really good. So, like, they're very, very expressive. Oh, in Endless Zone Zero? Nah. Yeah. That one, I don't know. Like, I just don't like the story as much. It's not as compelling. Um, Combat kind of feels a little more annoying because you have to like pay attention a lot more. It's all about like the dodges and stuff like that, and so it feels like shit when you mess up a dodge. And then there's like the party comp, and like I'm at a point where I found a party comp I really like, so I do Ching Chi or the Robot Girl. Yeah, Honkai Star Rail is definitely my favorite. I use the Robot Girl, Rina, and Jane Doe, and that team works really well in Honkai. I mean, not Honkai, that's Zenless Zone Zero. And so basically, since I got Jane Doe, I've been enjoying the game a little more because battle is easier because that party comp just feels intuitive for me and it plays well for me. But like Honkai is just easy to pick up. It's just simple. It's all it needs is like decisions and stuff. And then like it's silly. The end game is fun. Generally, it's much quicker to do everything, which is not. Oh, okay. Yeah, I started. I got Ellen when she first came out, but like there was just no good party comps for Ellen because I didn't have Lycan. So I was using Ellen, Sokaku, and Corinne because I needed Corinne for the bonus to pair with Ellen for the bonus, and it wasn't amazing. Ellen was fine, but yeah, it didn't feel super great. Like the synergy between them wasn't really super awesome. It's a swap between them easily. So it's it didn't feel super good. So I actually took a break from Zenless Zone Zero for a bit, and then when Jane was being announced, I was like, okay, I'll come back. Like she seems hot, so sure. And then I picked up the robot police girl, forget what her name is, and picked up Jane, and that team works really well. And like synergize well with each other. Like one character goes into the next really easily. It's really easy to get those stun chains going. I don't like him. Like I think one of my like my guaranteed standard was uh, Grace. So I got Grace, and so it's like, oh, okay, so you need Grace, Anton, and someone else. And I try, and Anton's like the main DPS. I'm just like, I don't know. Like I've tried using him in with Grace teams, and it's just like it feels really shit. Like it feels like you're just stuck in place far too often. Because like you have to dodge all the time, and so it's like for Anton, you're like on the field just drilling, and so you're like stuck there. It's kind of like Corinne. Corinne has the same kind of problem where she's just on the field, stuck in place, doing her damage. Like when she does her skill, she's like just standing there doing something, and if you have to dodge, then you interrupt it. And the same for Anton. Like if you have to dodge, you interrupt his attack, and it's all about like holding down the drill for as long as possible. And so I never really liked that. So that's why I didn't really use an electric team for the longest time. I do like Billy too. Billy is a lot of fun. Yeah, I like Billy's little spin attack. So if you're like dashing and you press a basic attack, he'll do his little spin, gets everyone around him. The fact that his burst is a nice AOE too. Yeah, I do like Billy. But the problem is I just didn't have that many physical teams. But now it's getting a little better. Like as they introduce more and more characters, so of more elements, of more types, it's easier to get like that synergy going. And so like Billy, Piper, and I guess if you could get Caesar, that would work well together. Or Billy, Piper, and Andy. That would be a good team. Because I like Piper too. Like I've actually been starting to build Piper because I've been working on my Sons of Caledonian teams, and so oh yeah, you're not on PC or console. That's even more annoying. I hate mobile controls for games like that. Like for Zenless Zone Zero, you're kind of stuck in an arena, so it's relatively fine. So like movement is not a huge problem as long as you're able to dodge and do your attacks. But Genshin, like there's so much exploration that like just mobile control joystick, like the screen joystick, I hate those. You move like shit. It's so unresponsive. Like, the only time I've ever played Genshin on mobile is when I just like when I'm away and I need to do my daily, so I'm like, fuck, I gotta go log in on mobile. And although now it's super easy because all you have to do is spend your resin and then you can redeem your daily. So you don't even have to do your dailies. You just got to go in, condense your resin, and then redeem your dailies using the tickets. But yeah, sorry. No worries. Thanks for stopping by.
I will have my heart's desire. Today. It should have been today. I hold us. So full of hope I was. A foolish hope.
Its scales. My... No.
That's kind of rough. 30 years. I mean, it's doable, I guess, but
I don't know how.
30 years is a little...
Could I? How?
Generally, it's just not thought of as good, right?
Child be.
Because like you just lack the experience. I mean, usually it's always like usually the like a 60-year-old man dating a 20-year-old, 20-year-old, which obviously is not doesn't seem super good.
No. Get it away from me.
Oh, I see.
Get that thing away from me.
It never says it, so is it actually is it supposed to be a 30-year age gap, or is it just the fact that the actors are at that? Because I do know that there are older actors that they try to like force.
Papa was just surprised.
Well, like, no, it could be that like the actor is super old, but he's supposed to be actually young in the story. Because there definitely are those actors who like they try to make seem younger. Like Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio are super old, but they'll still probably like be cast as roles where they're supposed to be in their 30s. So while the age difference of the actors might be 30 years old, it could be that in the story itself they're only supposed to be like 10 or something. It's hard to say unless they're like explicit and say, "Yeah, I am that old. I am actually 30 years older than you." It depends. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean it's rare, but it's not unheard of. Like, I mean, Keanu Reeves is a very good example. He's dating an older woman. I don't know what the age difference between is. I know she's like older than him, but I don't know how old. Yeah, okay. So they're not explicitly, but it is pretty implicitly implied that she is much older. Okay. Yeah, it happens. It's not common, but like I get it. I think my aunt is like married to someone who's like 10 years older than her or 10 years younger than her. Yeah. I mean, if I was 68, I wouldn't want to date a 68-year-old. So I totally get that. But yeah, I mean, typically it's less common because it's like you would. There's the general understanding you would just relate less to people that age, or they just be less mature. But yeah, well, have fun with your show.
He'll come around. Can look I shouted
Oh,
the research
so
has been
she,
going well.
so she
I
was
can't let him
trying.
take it out on my
See,
baby.
I think that's a little fucked up then, because she was obviously trying to force a relationship on him. Like I thought she just wanted a child, because like there are those people who's like, oh, I adore him, I love him. All I want is just a memento from him, and that's it. They have the child, and then it's like, cool. I'm going to treat this child with love and care, even if the father's not in the picture. But the fact is, he's trying to force a relationship with him. It's like, dude clearly wasn't interested in this shit, right? So I think that's a little fucked up. Like I was hoping that she was just a normal stalker who was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have a child with them and then just raise the child with a lot of love and care and like still wistfully look upon the father. But no, she's trying to like, oh, I have your son. Now you're in a relationship with me.
Hush now, little one. I know. I know.
That's all of them.
Oh, okay. I was actually hoping. I mean, not really hoping because obviously that'd be fucked up. But I was actually hoping that Zeralja would have seen him and been like, "Oh, he's the perfect experiment. Like he's the perfect candidate to have their soul implanted in the Teral Vidral." Maybe it's going to come up later. Maybe. Yeah, but this big question: what happened to Mother? Yeah, did Mother not able to force a relationship die? I think it's far more likely that she sacrificed herself as part of the experiment.
We know
Because
some
the experiment
horror of
obviously had a
accident
lot of
happened
dead
at the
people.
facility after this was recorded. Perhaps your mother could
Oh
look at
yeah.
that for you.
Where was he though? You'd think he'd be at the institute though, because if that's where the mother is, why was he like?
Roulette.
I'm fine, Lamarchi. Father and mother, they were both so lonely.
Well, it's also like there was no hope that your mother was alive. Like, I get it, I get it. You want to find out who your mother is, but like, there's no way in hell she's alive. Because if she was alive, I mean, realistically, yes, she could have been alive, and she could just be a shitty mother. She could have been like, oh, I wasn't able to get the desired outcome I want, so she chucked the child in and continued. And she could have done that. That's actually could have been what happened. She did dump the child off in Solution 9 because she wasn't able to. It seems unlikely because she was that obsessive with Zeral Draw. So it seems far more likely she would have kept him and just constantly, tried to bug him about it.
If we could have been together, maybe they wouldn't have been.
Wow, that's a base child.
I... I can't tell if I'm happier now.
I mean, on the bright side, you have a mother. My initial thought was that he was a clone. I assumed that Zeraljaw cloned him, and then maybe because he didn't demonstrate the kind of power and ability that Zeraljaw had as a child, he was like, "Oh, this is a defect child. He's not as good as I was. Therefore," that's kind of what I assumed happened. So the fact that he has a mother was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." But so the question is like, now when her plan failed, did she abandon the child? Did she still love the child? Like, you would think she would still love the child regardless, because it's still Zeralja's child, and she's that obsessed with him. In which case, he can take solace in the fact that he was loved to some degree, and his mother was just in an unfortunate accident.
But it's better to know it.
Oh, that's so rare. Yeah, you rarely ever see in this game where they actually hug each other. Oh, am I gonna? Oh, I was wondering if I was echoing, but no, not. But yeah, it's rare because hugging in general is far more a Western thing. It's far less common. There's definitely been moments in the game, in even Final Fantasy XIV, where you're just like, oh, this would be a perfect moment to hug, and they never do. They're just like stoically looking on them, and I do get like hugging is harder to animate. It's harder to actually like do it because you actually have to have the character models do something. It's just much easier to stand around looking at each other and talking. But it is a cultural thing where it's like, yeah, hugging is not as common in Japan. So while in America you might think, oh, this is a perfect hugging moment, they're just like, nope. Are we gonna go to Living Memory now too, or? I mean, you never saw her take a break, but did you take a break? It's not like you were watching her 24/7. Yeah, I'm curious if can the train just like go into Alexandria right now? Like, can it actually pass through that barrier? Like, does touching the barrier destroy you? Like, it looks like it's made out of lightning, but is it actually made out of lightning, or is it just like a slight little tingle as you pass through it? Could they just have anyone go through it? Or is it an impenetrable barrier? If you try to go through it, you get like zapped or fucked. But I mean, we have Vanguard, right? So presumably Vanguard is now open, and we can just take the train through Vanguard, and that's the way in and out. Although realistically, he'd be going to Yaslani, which is essentially a destroyed town, as the only stop that's available to it. And that's assuming the tracks could even support the weight, because like some of the other tracks in Alexandria are broken. And so it might. Now the path to Yaslani is working. At least the track is still there, so it might work. But if other parts of the track have fallen into disrepair and broken, it's hard to say how sturdy the track is.
people look uneasy. Did something happen?
Have you heard? Someone was killed in the Thunder Yards.
The Thunder Yards was one of the hunters slain by a beast.
It was a hunter, all right. And a veteran at that. But it was no fiend that did him in. Only a random bolt of lightning.
Such a senseless way to die.
For an upright,
I mean, to be fair,
man to meet such an unceremonious end.
yeah, I mean, like,
Feels wrong.
but it's his own fault. Like, if you have no souls, then why the fuck are you going out there, right? You know the risk. But yeah, it's now these people have to.
The system no longer erases our memory of the departed. The regulator.
It depends, though,
Go before my
right?
time.
Because, like, sure, we're no longer erasing memories, but like, if we're no longer erasing memories, isn't that because orogenics isn't working properly, or like they turned off orogenics, which means they're no longer processing souls, and if they aren't processing souls, you're not going to be able to get new souls, get spare souls, and if you have no spare souls, then eventually you too will run out and will have the one life you have. So this will be an interesting thing now, and now people have to pay attention more to their own mortality, because they never really paid too much attention, because like death was such an obscure concept, because like you never had to deal with it because your memories would be wiped and you could die multiple times. So it's like fear of death has been like greatly dampened by the ability to die multiple times, as well as not remember the people who had died. So you have no fear of loss and no fear of death, other than like pain. Obviously, it's probably still gonna hurt, but still, like it happens over and over again. You eventually get deadened to that type of shit, where you just kind of expect it's normal to live, 80 years. So yeah, this will be interesting to see how they adjust to this. Because like this is the other interesting thing, right? Is that they already kind of did mention it when Sphene was still here, and you had the guy who was like, "Oh, I can't go out. I have no souls left. I can't fight in the arena because it's been closed down. But I have no, so I can't make any money. And without any money, I have no souls. And without any extra souls, I could die." And so there was this guy paralyzed by fear of no, so he didn't do anything and just bitched and moaned because he just, didn't have any money for souls. So he was essentially feeling what everyone is now feeling, where it's like, shit, you could die for any reason, and you might not be able to get souls back. So death is a very real possibility. Death before your time is a very real possibility now. Before, it was just him experiencing it because of the closing of the Arcadian, but now everyone is. And it's becoming a little more important because you now remember them too. Easy, you just break your wrists. I mean, like, there are people, so there are contortionists where, like, they'll be able to, like, essentially slip out of them. Depends on how tight they are. If they're super tight, then you're kind of fucked. I don't know. From shows, they usually do it from, like, they pick the lock. So they bring their hands behind their back and pick the lock. But, like, I'm not sure. Like, I've never actually tried to doing it. But generally, like, in television and movies, it's always like, oh yeah, I picked the lock. Or, like, it's, like, completely bullshit. Like, depends on how realistic the show is. I would say, what's the show? There was a television show or a movie where I think the same thing happened. It's a James Bond. Maybe it was James Bond. But basically, yeah, he was chained to a heater, or chained to a pipe, and what he ended up doing is pushing, like, essentially what they end up doing is ripping the thing off the wall. Like, he was chained to a pipe above him, and he, like, brought down the pipe on a goon's head and knocked him out. And then he was able to slide the handcuffs down the pipe and off because he broke the pipe, and then at that point he stole the keys from the guard, I think. But ideally, I think I've seen, like, situations like that, and it's just like, yeah, you gotta break it. So, like, you gotta go to a place where you can, like, break the chain, like, literally, like, snap the chain. It depends. So if it's that 68-year-old woman, then it's very unlikely she broke it through physical force. So she either stole the keys, she was able to pick the lock, which in theory is possible, but if you're nimble enough, maybe she complained when she put the handcuffs on, so they didn't put them on super tightly, and she was able to squeeze, she was able to, contort her hand, her fist, to as small a radius as possible. Maybe she broke out, but I mean, it's still the same kind of thing. You probably either slipped your hands out of it, so if you're able to convince the cops or whoever to not put them on too tightly, you might be able to slip them out. Yeah, but, like, you could slip out. You could slip your hands out, possibly. But it could be they just forgot, or they were done. Because typically you don't ever really... Well, I know for movies it's the case. You rarely ever film a series or a movie in order. At least for movies it's more common. My guess is the most common thing is she must have slipped her hands out of the cuffs. That'd be the most likely thing. Either that or she picked it. She could have picked the lock of the cuffs. I don't know how realistic that is, but...
Well, you may think so, but how are we to know? We have no memory of those who have gone. More may have met violent deaths than passed from old age, and we would be blissfully unaware.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could just be inconsistent. Like, they could have just forgotten. It could have been they weren't paying attention properly. But realistically, you could slip your, like, if it's not super tight, you can slip your hands out. And even if it is relatively tight, you still can slip your hands out. But you would expect to see like abrasions, cuts on your hand, because essentially the metal would essentially scrape off your skin as you're trying to pull your hands out. Now, yeah, I mean, I mean, is she like a super thief then? Maybe she, like, if she's that cool and calm and collected, I would assume that she'd just pick the lock then. Maybe she's a really good lock pick. I do know that's the kind of thing that, like, it's hard to prove. I think magicians do it. Yeah, it's unrealistic, but, like, she could just be that good. Like, I think there are better ways to go about it, but they could, if it's not a huge plot point, they could have just been like, nah, she's just that good. Because, like, oh. I mean, her being an assassin makes it more likely for her to be able to pick it, because it's very likely that you can pick locks, and even an assassin, it's not like you buy special assassin handcuffs. Like, no, you just buy the normal handcuffs. So if you're able to pick handcuff locks, then I mean, I don't know. Like, remember, like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? They were both assassins, but they didn't. They were both assassins, but they didn't know much about them. So even if they're partners, it's possible that he didn't know the extent of her ability. It also could be that he handcuffed her not with the intention of, like, killing her. He knew that she would be delayed and didn't want to kill her, and was like, okay, this should delay her long enough so I can go and do whatever the fuck I need to do. So it's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, both being assassins, it's hard to say. It could just be the writer was just inconsistent, bad writing essentially. But who knows? Maybe you'll learn the motives later of why they did it.
It could happen to you, or me, to any of us.
Then what are we to do? Spend every waking moment think...
With time, I had hoped that they'd be able to adjust to their new situation. But it's only gotten worse.
Look! It's Queen...
Wait, what? Is that what her dress looked like before? Or is it... What's that thing on her... Did she always have that thing on her hip? Oh, no, maybe she did. I mean, did her dress always look like that? Like her skirt, what?
Queensbane, the grown-ups are really...
I see that you are as kind-hearted as ever, Nico.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen her. Like, yeah, was her skirt always that purple? Or is it like a visual distortion from maybe recreating her? Like the actual miniskirt part, not the blue overskirt. And did she have a thing in her hip before that, like, that medallion thing? It seems like she probably did because of how perfectly it fits into the open slot of her dress, but again, it's just been so long since I've seen her. I just forget what she looked like. Like, I know what she looks like, generally, but, like, the little tiny details.
Forever.
I don't know, maybe she backed up something, part of herself. Oh, it's this dude. Did he recreate her again?
You were the Queen's aide.
Yeah, because he was the one who said, oh my god, I miss her too much. So he could have done something
What's
stupid.
the meaning of this?
begging your pardon, Valvers. But Her Majesty Queen Sphene is paying
What are you... Sphene is... We all placed flowers to...
a funeral.
Oh. Maybe it wasn't him then. Okay, I thought he did it in his grief.
What a curious jest. You know, Her Majesty walks among her people that she...
Oh, that's cool then. Yeah, I mean, as long as the overarching plot is good, I don't really mind, like, little tiny, like, details. Like, sure, she escaped out of her handcuffs. It's like, yeah, okay. You give it a little bit of leeway, you know? It's also possible that, like, they might have wanted to make the scene bigger, but because they have time constraints, they were like, shit, we have to speed this up. Let's quickly go. So, it's hard to say, but as long as the overarching plot is fun, then that's all that really matters. Or, I mean, as long as the story is enjoyable. It doesn't really matter how realistic or silly it is. Classic dude. Just like all guys. So basically, he's a Redditor. Or a Twitter user.
This is no way to live. I wish that I could. Truly I do. But with living memories shut down, you needn't fret, Howie.
You gonna kill them all?
All of us shall be made endless.
Ah. That's creepy. But understandable. I want powers too. All of us should be made endless. So she's basically saying, let's all die. Also, like, the living memory system was the creation of endless. Living memory was what gave the endless life. With living memory shut down, you can't become endless.
Reliant upon soul cells.
Wait, are you watching Heroes? Save the cheerleader, save the world. Because it's almost like the exact same plot of Heroes, where it was Skylar who was trying to find the cheerleader so he could steal her healing powers. Oh, okay. So it's a different one. Oh, Umbrella Academy. Oh, I've heard of that. I've heard good things about it, but I've never actually watched it. Although, to be fair, that is not crazy. Like, that plot exists in lots of story. But yeah, it was very similar to how Heroes was, too. Although Heroes, I mean, the first season of Heroes was kind of like that. Yeah, very, very much like Heroes. The first season of Heroes was pretty good. Second season, okay. And then it just kind of got weird. I imagine it's just like it's suffering from success. Like, it probably had a really good idea. And then just coming up with really compelling reasons to get into these big conflicts is rough. And typically, you come out with like an idea. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make this show. It's gonna be about this. You probably have a few good plot ideas, and that can last you a season or two. And then by that point, you're like, oh my god, it's so successful. Let's continue. But like you've run out of. By that point, it's like, oh shit, like you have to continue because like it's so popular. But then you like run out of good ideas, and so you start stretching for shit. So hopefully it not being good still means it's good, just not as good. But like there are some like Game of Thrones season 8 was just kind of like shit. And like Game of Thrones was pretty good up until season 4. Everyone pretty much agrees on that. But then season 5 onwards was just getting worse and worse until season 8 was just crap. Yeah, I mean, I think the basic principle of the world is probably good, and that's what they pitched to the people. But like, when you pitch the pilot, you probably have a good idea of what the. Okay. Yeah, but when you pitch the pilot, you probably have a good idea of what the first season is going to be. Maybe even a second season. You're expecting a second season, perhaps. Maybe even contracted that. But. Oh, interesting. Okay, so new system transfer your memories directly into an ethereal vessel. Okay, well, I guess if it's not
This
relying on
way,
soul cells, then
you
that's
need
fine.
never
But
again
essentially, I think
fear
that's just making them
death.
into a spirit,
You
right?
will live as you please, and
Or a
for
void
as
set,
long as
perhaps?
you like.
Or maybe they're putting a... Because, like... Because it's like the robots, right? The robots don't have a soul cell, right? So is it just putting their memories into a robot? Is that what it is?
Our stores of ether are, at present, not...
Oh, God, she's going to start a war again?
But some of you received neo-regulators for the funeral ceremony, did you not? And there are still more we have yet to distribute. One day soon, those with neo-regulators will be called to join the...
But
Is he going to war now? This is really suspicious. I'm curious where this is going to go.
The real Sphene would never be content to save only some of her people.
I mean, to be fair, she just needs to make more of those neo-regulators, problem solved. If this is just a stopgap solution, so that's fine. Now, the real Sphene is also stupid for not... I never saw Schmidt Creek either. I haven't watched television in a while. I bet they'd probably just use the same set. If it was a... I don't know. It depends if it's on site or not.
Who are you?
Is it another superhero one, or is it more like a drama?
I am Sphene.
Interesting. Yeah. See, this is the thing that she shouldn't do, right? And she probably didn't do, but manipulate her people using memories could have been done. But I think she cared about her people too much to do it. Now you have a more ruthless one, a more logical one, realistically.
Let's return to the back room.
Which is like, so obviously it's not her. That's why I was like trying to see if her skirt was a different color. Because I'm like, is that an indicator, or is it literally the same model? Like I could have just forgotten, perhaps. Or is that it? I do remember when we beat her, her little crown thing, her little glowing green crown on top of her head. She's gonna smile, yeah. Her glowing green crown on top of her head was they said it was a special type of resonator. So it could be that someone else just got a hold of it. Someone else got a hold of it, put it on their own head, and essentially became Queen Sphene. So it could be some... I don't know. It is hard to tell, though, because we have no clue who that could possibly be, right? We have no clue who could have taken over that mantle. It could be, like she was like deleting her own memory, so it could be a remnant of that program has now taken over something else. Or it could be that someone, some actual person picked it up and is now replicating her appearance. Hard to tell. Well, obviously it will be in the next story, presumably. Well, yeah, I mean, you know that's possible. Obviously, their memories can be erased. So presumably we need to go back into or check orogenics again. I'm curious if there's any hints. Like, we only ever saw her resonator at the end. We didn't see anyone who might have, like, picked it up, or... I don't remember anyone in the story that would be likely to have, like, taken over power. But it also could just be some random person. It's like, oh yeah, I lived in Solution 9 during the attacks. Whatever. It could just be some random person we maybe never even interacted with until just now. Oh yeah, Shale and Ysola are there. Shit, this could be dangerous. Oh, I bet this is the real Sphene. That's why why the vision's all fucked up. I bet this is a fragmented version of whatever remains of Sphene is now haunting living memory. I think Ystola's gonna. Oh, there she is. I was gonna say Ystola's gonna find her. Ystola and Shale are gonna find her. They're going to, and then it'll be a Sphene on Sphene battle. Yeah, my people, of course. That is the fractured remains of Sphene. I'm curious if they're gonna show what she. Oh no, she has to look like a normal person. I was actually wondering if she was gonna be like this weird, distorted, like digital spirit or something. But she seems to be like in her human body. It also could be that. Oh yeah, so Ystola would be able to see her anyway because of her eyes, or not really not because of her eyes, but the way she's using ether to see. I'm curious if Shade can see her too, but yeah, I'm not surprised that parts of her were alive because like we defeated like the one version of her. Oh, okay. So I was wondering if there was going to be another side quest for that. That's really cool. That's a nice little cliffhanger. I think that's pretty good because like at the end of 7.0, we're just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, where is it going to go next? So it's like, oh, cool. Now we actually have a little side plot. Now there's a little bit of a cliffhanger. 7.2 will probably reveal more. I'm curious what that actually means. Because, like, what's going to happen? Like, are we going to fight Sphene again? Are we going to fight a Sphene 2.0? Like, I mean, obviously she's going to be a trial, right? Like, it's hard to tell what she is, though. So it might not be even a copy of Sphene. Like, you might take off the regulator and she's like, oh, actually, I'm this person, and then that person does something. Or she could, like, create an army of robots or something. I am actually a little curious what her plan is. Because that was the other odd thing, is like, if those robots, like, Sphene was just inhabiting a robot. Now, I think they were using soul cells to do it. Classic dads. I mean, that's just good parenting. Keeping his kids safe from the world. But I'm going to go ahead and call it for now. I'm going to... Been walking for a while. Need to shower, get something to eat. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.
You're getting denied. You should keep doing it.